have Julie Shaw here. And Julie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you find yourself right now?
Sure. I am a former theater teacher and director, and I have been a professional actor in Kansas City for about 15 years now.
Awesome. That is very cool. Like I said, I love the theater, so it's a pleasure meeting you.
Oh, good.
So, how did you get into your careers, I guess?
Sure. Um, I began performing when I was in elementary school and performed all through junior high, high school, college, post college. There's really, even when I was teaching, I was still doing shows in the summer and things like that. So, I've just always been performing, singing, acting. My mom has told many stories about me walking around the house when I was about 3, just singing all the time, doing funny voices, whatever. So I think it's always been within me at
Always
some point.
been. That's what
Yeah.
it sounds like. So who do you act with? What theater groups or
Um,
bunch of different ones?
anybody I performed in every professional company in town, the Kansas City Rep, New Theater, Quality Hill Playhouse, the Coterie, just you name it, and I've performed there.
Oh, awesome. Was your favorite show you've done?
Oh,
Gonna put you on
that's
the
tricky.
spot.
Tricky. That's okay. Recently, I would say Between the Lines at the Kansas City Repertory Theater. It's a brand new original musical written by the author Jodi Picoult and two new upcoming a lyricist and a composer. And we did that, I guess it was 3 years ago, and it was supposed to open on Broadway in April of this year. But I think I'm hopeful that it will open next year, so I'll get to see it. But it was
Oh,
really fun to be a part of that creative process.
oh, I bet. Oh, that sounds really neat.
But also,
I think I saw that advertised and wanted to see it
right,
and didn't make it. So, oh,
it was
that's
exciting, but
I
nerve-wracking because every day, songs would be changed or cut, or scenes would be changed and dialogue, and so we were always on our toes, but it was really fun.
oh,
It
I
was really
bet
fun.
something totally different. So
Yeah.
for you. So, how did you decide to get into the theater?
Um, like I said, I think it's just I've always been a performer, but after college, I knew that I wanted to perform, but I really wanted to teach. That was sort of I didn't want to go to New York. I didn't want to go to Chicago. I didn't want to go that route because it's a difficult life. It's a tough life, and I really had a passion also for teaching. So that's why I decided to go that route. And then once I had my kids, I retired from teaching and decided to go back to performing full time.
Awesome. That's very cool. And what would be a part that maybe you don't enjoy as much?
Memorizing, memorizing lines. I mean, any student out there who's had to, you have to memorize all through school. You have to memorize facts, for exams and all that kind of stuff. And that's never really a fun thing either. So memorizing lines is not enjoyable. Once they're in there, then you can play and have fun. But it's
Uh-huh.
that memorizing part that's not really enjoyable.
Oh,
Um, and the other thing is, I don't think people really realize right before you open a show, probably couple days before you open a show, especially with a musical, there are 2 days of technical rehearsals called 10 out of 12s. And what that means is it's a 12-hour day, and you get an hour for lunch and an hour for dinner. And you are at the whim of all the technical elements of the show. So it's a lot of standing around and the lights and with the costumes, and then they have to check this and that, and then you move to your next spot. And so it's very, very long days and very tedious days, but they have to be done in order for the whole package to come together.
oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't realize that. That would be a very long day
Very long
for
days.
me.
You have usually two of those, and then the next day you do a run through of the show, and then you open that night. So opening night, people are pretty tired. Yeah.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Uh-huh. It seems like that's like That's like the big part, but to get there is a lot more work
Exactly,
than
exactly.
the
There's a
theater
lot of work
goers
that goes
know.
into right. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that most audience members have no idea what happens, but that's okay. That's the magic of theater, right?
Exactly,
It's the
exactly,
illusion. Right,
exactly. We
right.
go to feel good and live
Exactly.
live the life we wish we were living.
Exactly. Right, right. Escape. Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh,
What educational path did you take, Julie?
um, I went to I all through high school, graduated high school,
Right.
went to Trinity University in San Antonio, and then came home. Thought I'd go to graduate school. Went to graduate school for a semester, and I really thought I was going to probably go the I said the teacher route, but maybe at a higher education level, like a college professor or something. And I quickly realized, oh, then I don't get to perform at all. I don't really want to do that. So came back home, got my teaching certificate, and began teaching high school.
Oh,
So that's the kind of the path I took. And then I have accumulated so many hours towards multiple graduate degrees in
oh,
the process. Yeah.
oh, that's nice. So
Yeah.
that's always a bonus
Yeah.
as you're working and doing that.
Right. Right.
So, what was your first job and what did you learn from it?
My first like acting job or teaching
Just
job or
any job. Yep.
well, my very, very, very first job, and this will age me quite a bit. I worked, oh, sorry, my thing though. I worked at a tanning salon when I was in high school, and it taught me a lot about never to go to a tanning salon, and that my boss was a very irresponsible person. So I learned a lot of responsibility, how to open and close a place, and how to manage money and books and appointments. So it taught me a lot. Yeah, but it was not the best job in the world. But my first job sort of it relate to the acting field or teaching. I used to teach acting classes in a community theater, which was wonderful. It taught me about how to structure uh, a class period, how to deal with unruly students, how to deal with great students, how to deal with all different kinds of people, how to handle that, how to keep them motivated, how to keep it fun and exciting. So that taught me about that. And my first professional acting job paid me $50 a week.
Wow.
And I would perform, but I was also an intern. And this was at the Arrow Rock Lyceum Theater. Arrow Rock, Missouri is about an hour and a half um, east of Kansas City. And it's a tiny little town with this wonderful professional theater. But I did everything from hanging lights to cleaning bathrooms to tearing tickets and also performing in shows. So that threw me headfirst into the aspects of everything with professional theater. I loved it. It was great. But again, it was $50 a
Hard,
week
it's like
and a
hard work,
lot of hard
not
work.
much
A
money.
lot of hard work. Yeah,
So,
a lot of, but I was surrounded by, I was 20 years old and I was surrounded by a lot of people much older than I was who this is what they did for a career. So that was wonderful to learn from them, watching them, listening to them, hearing them tell stories. And it was a great, great experience.
oh, it sounds like it. It's always
Yeah,
good I always say it helps to start at the bottom because you really learn the job
absolutely.
and what you're
All the jobs and have a real appreciation for, like I said, all the technical aspects that go into theater that people don't really get to see. And
right.
when you're an actor, I think it's so important that you understand all of those and can appreciate all those too.
Exactly. What is your definition of success?
I read that question. Man, that is tough. Um, I honestly I think I can speak for professional actors, at least here in Kansas City. I think the definition of success is just working, getting work, which now, of course, is not happening. Um, we don't know when it's going to happen again. But I also think that, and professional actors I know across the country, I think if you ask them that question, they would also say getting work, but getting work that is real satisfying to you and means something to you. It's not just a job. I mean, those are, you have to take those too, to pay
Right.
your bills. But but I also think you'd find that a lot of actors would say the same thing as any other profession. Being successful means being happy, content, having a good relationship with your spouse or partner, and if you have kids. So that to me is the big definition of success. But if you're just focusing in on the acting field, I would say it's getting work and being satisfied, uh, and content with the kind of work that you're doing.
No, that's wonderful. And I've had a lot of people who've said that it's more your life is more part of your
Absolutely.
success than even,
Absolutely.
you know.
And finding, and I think they don't, a lot of people would say, and I found this because I have a husband and two kids, finding success is finding the balance between your work life and your home life, your
Right.
personal life. And when you're an actor, that can sometimes be very challenging, especially if you're having to travel the country to
Yeah.
do shows. That can be a real challenge, that I know a lot of friends have found. I have not done a tour or anything like that purposefully because I
It,
have two kids, can't
right.
do that. Uh, but yeah, I think it's striking that balance. I think people would say that as well.
Okay, great. What suggestions would you have for students who are interested in going into this? What path would you suggest?
I think, uh, when we are able to go back to theater, I think it's so important that people go see live theater as opposed to movies or TV or even streaming. I mean, that's wonderful, but I think it's important to experience being in that space, breathing the same air, the audience and the performers and the technicians and the orchestra if it's there. I think that's such an amazing experience for anybody. And even if you don't want to be a professional actor, I think it teaches us how to be good audience members, which is sometimes a challenge because we're not used to. I mean, you go to the movies or even at home, you're watching a movie. Well, you can turn and talk to somebody or get up and get something to eat. But when you're in the theater, that's kind of a different world. Um, but I would also say to anyone really thinking, yeah, I want to be an actor, it's I think we have a very glamorized version of it. We see
Mhm.
famous actors who make a lot of money and live in wonderful houses, and that's terrific. But probably 95% of the actors out there don't live that kind of life.
Right.
And it's a tough life. When it happens, it's so rewarding and it's so meaningful and amazing. And if you can make a career, I just heard from a dear friend who's in New York who has made a career being in the ensemble of Broadway shows, and he loves it. And he really has. He's made a career of it, and has made money and saves money. But he's he's few and far between. So I would say I'm not discouraging it. I think if you have a passion and a drive, take every class you can, see every live performance you can, see every streaming performance you can, read every book you can. I mean, the more you can absorb, and learn how to and how not to do things, I think it's invaluable. It's crucial.
Mhm. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We've enjoyed having you.
Absolutely.
So it's good to get a realistic view of theater and what's involved.
Yeah. And
So,
and also you'd be, I mean, there's so many careers in theater that people don't really know about,
mhm,
the stage managers, directors, lighting designers, sound designers, set construction. I mean, there's just so many amazing careers, and even in the box office or managers, that people that if they want to be in the performing arts, that they should also explore those too, because
right.
they're wonderful careers, and they usually make more money than the actors. So
So
there's
that's
that too.
something to keep in mind.
Something to keep in mind. Yeah. Be a stage manager. Be a stage manager. Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank you. It was a
the nice
pleasure.
conversation.